We are live for 14 seconds.
Very
Okay, so hello to anyone who is listening. So sadly we have only two persons over here. So in a sense, like this live stream is to just recap on our 2023,
and
like
what
what
has happened.
what has happened and all those kind of things.
And
So
we have Ines here with like a bunch of experience in his career.
what's your
Give
experience?
some description before we.
And we also have Ethan Lim and me, the voices just you just heard. We have so much more experience than me as well in the realms of business analytics. So in a sense, why I want to have this type of podcast is also because like this could be like a Singaporean's rant kind of thing. So I figured out that for the first sort of series or the first episode can start by recapping what has been done in this year 2023. Oh,
Over
we have a first
price.
Z. Yo, I remember the rig roll. One is like yeah, yeah. So yeah, the rig roll video has we or rather me have a diploma in Asia management and then go into NS become artillery officer. After that, I worked with SMRT for 1 year as a bus captain. Then directly after that, I went to university. I studied in SIT, one of the best schools ever. You can hear that sarcasm. Now, even when he's working, he also have uh, went through his studies part time, right? Yeah, got himself a degree as well. So, 2023, and what have you been doing? What was most of the highlights? By the way, I'm eating fries. So,
Yeah. So I think 2023, when we look at it in terms of Singapore and also we talk about the world when vision, right? Um, the first year where went out of COVID. It was the first full year. 2022 when we came out it was at the tail end. And then that's where I don't know. That's where like the traveling came back. People are starting to get out of the house. People are starting like to going to new countries. I guess people are to like pop out in their house, and when they go, it's like, oh, where should we go? Like the most exotic places, like Japan, like Korea. I don't know.
that because as an aviation student, I can actually know that back in October 2023, Singapore aviation have went around 80% capacity compared to pre-COVID times. So definitely there is a lot more travelers traveling out and into Singapore. In a sense, this kind of what the term has been called revenge traveling has been throwing around. So
Right.
Singaporeans, we also travel. Even I myself have traveled out for Singapore. Yeah, I went to Japan and I had a cruise back to Singapore. So in that sense, it's also one of the highlights of my years as well. Opportunities over there. In a sense, there's also a lot of opportunities that can be seen in aviation.
Oh, like what? Can you explain?
Yeah, actually in all sorts of aviation, like let's say passenger. Another, you're also looking at higher than normal amount of cargo that is transporting outbound and inbound into Singapore.
Does it only happen in Singapore or other countries as well?
That's why it has been happening at the moment. From what I can see, the trend has been going down. For a few major reasons. A few reasons that we can actually see is the war in Ukraine and Russia, as well as that has been going about less than usual amount of cargo coming into Singapore.
Maybe we touch on inflation just to cover on that topic where inflation started off like at this year as well. I think there was a lot of thought anticipation of whether and then of like some factors and the formula to calculate and everything. But it's still creeping up. Next year will be 9% GST.
That one is a Singaporean's.
Not for me, but I do know friends who are doing that. I think which is why the case, right? Because of the inflation.
General consumers definitely will feel the pain, but even is also feeling the not say feeling the pinch as well, because you cannot see in a micro level of what individuals is doing, because let's say in aviation I'm seeing volumes in thousands of tons, and in which for a few individuals, if only a few individuals are affected by this inflation, we won't see like a huge percentage of cargo upset in that sense. But we are seeing like thousands of tonnage lesser than usual, even compared to pre-COVID times. So in a sense, it's not only our average consumers that are buying less, but overall in Singapore, everyone is buying less, especially in the business kinds of fields. We are also purchasing less goods to exchange.
And even I guess even the supply chain companies have started to move away, right, from like it used to be China, the big ones, where most of like the supply chain are coming from there because China is like the manufacturer of the world. And then now we started to move away.
In the sense of Singapore, small country, so we will still rely on imports and exports for our growth and wealth. In a sense, it will only hit Singapore if those companies are Singaporean companies. In a sense, even Singaporean companies wouldn't want to shift their factories back to Singapore, because the land prices to open up their manufacturing plants in Singapore.
So that's
Yes,
interesting because Singapore's never a choice to have the
correct.
like less specialized factories, but maybe the more niche, the factories that need more specialized skills like microchipping.
In a sense, even for microchips, we can also see like TSMC based in Taiwan. They are still one of the more leading parties in the
And
world.
it's outside of Singapore.
Correct.
Yeah.
So for them to come into Singapore, I highly doubt it. Like Singaporean brands like Creative, all those, you're definitely not going to see a factory
Anywhere
in,
from
in Singapore, especially.
And coming back to the part about shipping then, because shipping was affected, you see, the cargo, air freight, transportation, aviation. So while the supply chain has moved, now we are seeing that the cargo, so the transportation route remains unaffected, largely unaffected. Right?
I'm not sure whether you have seen this article, but Thailand trying to make a land border for ships.
Really?
Announced during one of the ASEAN meetings that they are trying to connect like the west coast of Thailand to the east coast.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like a canal sort of to divert traffic away from Singapore.
I see.
But from what I understand, Singapore gaps or a lot of business sense, which the Thailand people,
Built up.
yes,
Yeah.
will have to build up, and sort of the challenge ships were to go.
Interesting because if we look into maybe building up this business, it has like international, and then you start to build in dependencies and maybe lost the barrier in some terms.
Definitely, English language is definitely one of the
In recent years, I think they started to develop a lot. Thailand in the region now, it has a sizable population. Expats are also considering that as their base of operations for certain kind over here. So maybe Thailand will be like a competitor in the future.
about the saturation. Probably, there is a little bit of debate because we are actually seeing a lot more shipping
In certain sectors,
in
right?
certain sectors. So in a sense, in the shipping industry, is probably still growing. Especially about Singapore's project, the Tuas Mega Port. It's going to be one of the biggest project that Singapore ever.
Sorry, tell me about the project.
The Tuas Port project. So actually, right now they have already relocated a lot of their shipping operations from capital
What's the purpose of the project again?
Yeah, it is to increase the shipping capabilities in Singapore and not only trading purpose.
What is the reason for a shift in the location? Is it for a bigger port, high capacity, or
From what I understand, is so that there is a base for this kind of shipping companies, shipping as well as well as to boost tourism in a sense. It's because we are actually it's only this year where our Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong unveiled that they are going to use this Bay Area, port area
yeah?
as a tourist attraction to increase of to attract even more tourists to the area. Because right now if you go to Tanjong Pagar or those kind of areas, they are all currently blocked off. It was used to be like the shipping container area where like those trucks,
Corridor.
yeah, that corridor. But they have mainly closed off those areas because they are vacating those areas
Okay.
for these large scale projects for to boost tourism in that sense. So you didn't know anything about this project?
Oh, I heard bits and pieces, but I thought our list would get.
But it's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. Next time round we will have a lot more if possible. But yeah, all these interesting little projects has been completion sometimes like
How will lives of the population get affected?
in a way with this kind of infrastructure upgrades, I would say our trade is going to be even more efficient. It's going to be more effective to sort of mention to our region once again that we are the biggest traders of the world.
I think that's a good point. Where actually in the news recently, we also see that Indonesia has been coming up with lots of policies, right,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
attract
yeah.
foreigners, and they are trying to relocate the capital of Indonesia. I think where
The East Kalimantan,
yes, and I think some of the
one of the one of the traffic of Jakarta. Because
okay.
currently Jakarta, if you go over there, you know that their traffic is most of the time come to a standstill.
Yeah.
So with a
And they have
new
many islands, right?
yes, correct. No, for the islands wise, they are centralized in the island of Java.
Okay.
So I don't think that is too big of a problem. But what they want to be is to be a lot more centralized. That's why they want to relocate, as well as to sort of redesign a lot more efficient, so that they can be a lot more efficient in their business, in their trading as well. But from my point of view, it's very hard to relocate a city in a heartbeat in a sense, you know.
Yes.
It's because there comes a lot of planning and city will work.
Yes.
In which at least at this current moment, they have their national day and they had their very first. I doubt Singapore there will be too much of an implication is because our reputation has already been built. Tan is not really near the coast, not really near the coastal areas, so they are not going to have mega port project similar to Singapore as well. And even so, the trading routes is also not as convenient as where Singapore is.
Yeah.
But in that sense, if you want to compare it, they are just building a second Jakarta. So what Jakarta have, this new city will have as well. So if you are talking about like at a banking financial trading area, they will not be able to, or rather they will less likely to surpass what Singapore has already had.
And I think even Singapore was in some areas I heard some rumors about unconfirmed that they Singapore will be like, to the business, yes, you might think about relocating to this kind of places or set up some operations. But we are
in a sense, you are saying about less risky. Yes, Singapore is also such a safe country to be in.
No natural disasters and
Even in 2023, the most we got is ponding at near the end of the year. have you have you seen it? There's like Sengkang area
no.
where there's a little bit. I'm sure they call it they still thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any other topics that happened in 2023?
2023. There's actually not that much to be such a hot word. Singapore.
When it
Yeah.
started to, I guess, starting to go into this, right? Even the Singapore government has come out in a big off on this matter, where during the last COP 27 or 28, one of the COP where they said like, hey, let's commit to a 1.5 degrees cap in global warming.
I'm not that. I've not read deep into that, but aviation.
Yeah.
Um, from what I observe, actually, there is a lot of effort that is being put in to being sustainable in aviation ever since probably back in 2014 or 2015 when we introduced things like SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, and even for our airports, major airports, for our logistics. We have been replacing diesel engine forklifts with electric forklifts.
Oh.
And we also have like solar panels that is built up. But from what I understand, all these efforts has been done even before 2023, or even all these projects. But I cannot think of any big projects that started after COVID. Actually, can you think of any huge projects? Let's say out aviation or even in aviation.
I think within aviation, I'm not aware. I know that they have been talking about the SAF fuel, right? Outside of aviation, because so a lot of angles, a lot of experimentation by companies to like, hey, is this sustainable? How can we? Because so if we look at sustainability, right, most of them are based on the operation, how to make the supply chain sustainable, how to make the product. So it's more like R&D and research and the operations. But the other aspect is, once we have a sustainable product, how do we scale it up? So then how do you want the market to mass adopt this sustainable product or like a solution or whatsoever, right? So I think that's where one of the key problems is, where they are still experimenting, and most of them, some of the challenge related to sustainability could be, the solution is not strong enough to be sustainable, so it's the technical end, or they just haven't got that angle in terms of marketing. For example, they say that sustainability is important, but the product benefits must still deliver, right? If you don't deliver as well, and then to the consumer, it's like everything is still fit in well together. The other aspect is the pricing. If I were to buy a sustainable, let's say, alternative meat, for example, how do you want to price it? Is it versus a veggie, or is it versus like a meat? They are both different pricing. It could be too cheap for one and too expensive for the other. And how do you make that balance? And I think this is dependent upon like the different markets. Singapore has a higher middle class composition. So how do you want to string them along? What do you think?
That's understandable because, in a sense, as a consumer, I really don't, or rather, at least for myself,
Like you don't see it, right?
I don't see it. I will feel that, I will feel it if, like the things you have done have negatively impacted my experience in that sense. If you were to add in sustainability, but it, but like let's say if those kind of negative, like I would think that this sustainability will not sustain much to be started out in unsustainable way in much more effective way than
It's like the market
what
is not perfect.
correct. I would definitely go for the one that gives me a more positive experience in that sense. So even if companies wants to go sustainable, they must think about the impacts mm, of what end consumers is sort of feeling.
I think in a sense where if you want to be sustainable, there's only so many
Correct.
things you can do. And within those tools, how can you creatively use it to surpass competition? I think that was one good observation.
Correct. So in a sense, even if you want to be sustainable, so how to be sustainable as well as to keep your consumers happy.
Yes.
Both, but sustainability has been quite a large, or rather a bigger topic we have seen in 2023.
One interesting question would be, in 2024 going forward, um, how do you, as in like yourself, stop being impacted by these things that companies do? Will the Chinese New Year packets be like more sustainable, or like the burning of like
Our
the
our Chinese New Year packet, you see now using
digital?
PayNow, digital,
Yeah.
and even hopefully not our red packet doesn't get any lighter because of the inflations.
And we also have this thing in Singapore where we talk about the hungry. Everyone's burning the papers. So how do you think that would change in 2024 or might happen?
Burning of incense has always been a cultural thing. So I don't think that will
Change much? Okay.
go away anytime soon. Or I don't think it will change much, but at least for now we can see some efforts being placed in. Let's say for Singapore, there is this kind of eco burners, like more eco-friendly furnaces that is placed around the HDB area.
Yeah.
Not sure whether you have been to, but there is large burner in the not Loyang Topekong but a Bright Hill. So right, it used to be when there is a lot of small areas that they dedicate for burning incense. Now they only have one centralized place to burn incense.
Okay.
And from what I understand, this centralized is well.
Okay.
So in that sense, uh, it could be a little. That is a step towards a more eco-friendly burning of incense. It is still harming the environment.
Of something when you mentioned culture thing, right? So, burning generation where now we see the old people are still doing traditional way.
Come on, even
And
I am still following it.
okay, yes. But subsequently, as the new generation comes out, I feel like they might be the ones that adopts the new practices like digital generation to change. Not maybe like not in 1 year.
I understand, but these are the kinds of passed down to me, be
Continue.
continuing
Yeah.
what my father have taught me. I will be burning an incense. Probably I won't be as much as
Much.
what my father, but at least right now, if you can see like NTUC in Singapore, they have already have those kind of package for you to burn. I always buy all those kind of packages.
What is it?
Yeah, so in that sense, if those packages were to go smaller, I don't see, I will see myself burning much less incense.
Interesting.
Impact for, at least for the both of us
Yeah.
and the world as well.
I think coming out of COVID, there seems to be more things happening,
Definitely.
and um,
One of the bigger things is more on the recoveries or the
COVID.
development for the future. Is they are not even talking about it anymore.
Yeah.
They are talking about more massive projects like the like massive oil projects or those wind farms. They are not talking. They are talking less and less about COVID already.
Right. Yeah, so I think things are starting to ramp up, and I mean 2023